Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my pop-up podcast where I am talking about the American Song Contest. And this week we are talking about week 4. Now, I am filming this intro after I've already filmed everything else. And this is a quick warning. I started filming this 2 days ago. And so basically when this video starts, I'll be wearing a totally different outfit and doing, I don't know, but I had to stop filming that day and then I jumped back in. And so it's going to be kind of another hot mess. I feel like that's been every week so far, is kind of a hot mess. But that is because I'm in Europe right now. I'm currently in the Czech Republic, and that's thrown off my production schedule a little bit. So bear with me. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Spoiler, this is probably my favorite week so far. So it's been a really good selection of songs this week, and I'm excited to talk about all of them. So anyway, I guess that's it. And we'll jump into the episode. All right, well, as you guys can tell, I am not in my normal spot. I am actually in the Czech Republic right now, and it's been great. I've been here just for a couple days, but it's also been very tricky to try and figure out this whole American Song Contest thing, and I wanted to make sure that I stuck with it. But anyway, we got to talk about week 4 of the American Song Contest, and I am in a good mood. I think that this week was probably the best week so far for a lot of reasons. In general, before we go through all of the things that happened, I really think they've been making improvements. This was the first time that they didn't overdo it with the dancers. The lip syncing issue that's been happening, has it been sorted out? Maybe, because I didn't have any performances this time that were like too overshadowed with, the vocal track in the background. I thought everyone sounded great and all the performances were great. So who knows? Are the producers of this show listening to this podcast? I feel like they took some of my tips. I doubt any of them are paying attention to this podcast, but it was good to see that, like, things that I had noticed, okay, clearly someone behind the scenes has also noticed, and I think they've made adjustments, and it's great, and I'm hoping that they'll keep tinkering around with it. So yeah, I was really happy with this week's performances, and there's a couple songs that I'm really excited about, so we should get into it. First, though, we do need to talk about the result of week 3. So let me pull that up here. So we saw that from the jury results, the first place jury result that was moving on to the semifinals was Tennessee, which was, let me double check, Tyler Braden with the song 17. So he was automatically qualified. And then from there, we found out that the first one they announced, now I really do wish that they would show us the full audience results and the full ranking, they only announced the next 3, but since they're combining these scores with the jury, I'm never quite sure who actually got the most votes, right? But based on who they were announcing in what order, we found out that the first one to move through from the audience vote was Colorado, which was Riker Lynch. The song's called Feel the Love. So he was announced first. I was a little surprised. I'll get into that in just a second here. The second one that was announced was Alabama, the band, or the duo Nico. And then the fourth and final act from week 3 to move on was Texas with Grant Kanochi. And the name of that song was Mr. Independent. Yes, that's right. So based on those results, previously I did predict, I think I said Nico was probably going to make it. And they were also third from the jury vote. I'm really glad that Grant Kanochi did make it, because he was one of my top picks, and just in terms of like the performance, I thought it was just a standout performance with all the graphics and the dancing and all of that. Yeah, I guess I'm not too surprised that Riker Lynch did move on. Looking at the Spotify list, I do like including this when I've been making these videos, just to show how many plays these songs are getting. But let me see here. 17, the one that moved on automatically from the jury, that one does have the most plays so far. And followed by Mr. Independent, Feel the Love. Okay, and I Don't Take Pictures Anymore. It was interesting. Okay, there's quite a big gap in terms of like how many plays there are. We've got, there's a few that are kind of like 50 to 60,000 currently. And then it jumps down quite a bit to like 15,000. So Nico moved on with 15,000, but yeah, I Don't Take Pictures Anymore by Brooke Alex has almost twice as many, because I would say that probably would have been my third pick, would have been I Don't Take Pictures Anymore, Brooke Alex. And that one didn't move on. But what was it ranked in the jury? Let me see here. Okay, I just spent like way too long searching and I couldn't find it. But since Nico did get third from the jury, I'm guessing that's why they moved on. I thought they would move on anyway, but I guess looking at the songs, it does seem like the Brooke Alex song is doing a bit better. Now, at this point, we've already had, we've had 4 weeks now of songs, and only 2 of them are moving on or 2 of them are going to be wild card options. And it's getting tough now. Like, originally, I was like, okay, for sure, New Boot Goofin', I want that to be a wild card. And now I can think of like 3 or 4 more that I'm like, wait, what? Only 2 are going to move on? So the wild card choice is going to be really important, because there's already quite a few songs I'm like, oh man, I wish that one had moved on. So anyway, I would say Brooke Alex would be in the running for the wild card as well. All right, so that covers all the results from week 3, and now we need to move on to 11 more performances. So we are going to start with the first act, which is New Hampshire. Artist name is Mary or Mari. No, I think it is Mari. I said I was going to be better about pronunciation this week. And I actually did make some notes later on of like, okay, pronunciation. I'll get this one this time. Song was called Fly. And I complained about this last week, or I made fun of the fact that every time that they have to do their little interviews, they talk about how their state is like, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Evident. The state, like their state really is evident within the song that they wrote. And I just am calling BS on that, because no, it's just a song. But this is the first act. And she said that I'm confident because New Hampshire taught me that. Like New Hampshire instilled confidence in her, which is something that, a different girl had said that last week about whatever state she came from. So anyway, that always makes me laugh, because I'm like, no, I'm sorry. New Hampshire did not give you confidence. She also described herself as the Latin Lizzo. And after seeing the performance, I'm going to say maybe in terms of like the outfit or like the persona, that's maybe similar to Lizzo, but the music was not Lizzo at all. And every single dream ain't getting any closer if you feel hopeless. But I will say, for starting out the show, I thought this was a great performance to start out with. I love when the acts have just amazing graphics and really put in a lot of effort into the staging and all of that. So it was a good way to like kick off the show. I thought her song, I didn't think her song was very Lizzo-y, but I did think it was almost more of like a Beyonce type of song. Specifically Beyonce with like her pop music and like Halo, not so much like her R&B type of stuff. Yeah, but the song in general was your classic cheesy pop song. It was catchy, no complaints. What I will say though is like, even though I thought the song was too generic, I did think she was really, really great at performing. And clearly she has amazing vocals. What I was really impressed with was like, she was standing in one place for majority of the song, but she still has so much energy. You almost felt like, you didn't even mind that she was standing in one place because she still was able to kind of hype up the crowd. So I was just really impressed with her being able to have such a good stage presence, even when she wasn't moving around, Number 2, we have Nevada, which this has to be one of my favorite band names, you guys. I'm still laughing about it. The Crystal Method is an amazing name. So anyway, props to that. I love clever band names. I think at one point I even had like a list in my phone of like potential band names. But the song is called Watch Me Now. When they were giving the background of the Crystal Method, they explain that, this is where I want to say like the group or the duo, but apparently now it's just one guy and like the partner is no longer a part of this group. So should I refer to it as a group now? I don't know. But apparently they've been nominated for 2 Grammys in the past. They describe their own genre as a pre-EDM, trip-hop, hard rock, electronic. And then he even describes the song as "It's gonna be bonkers," which I love that description. I was very excited to find out what that meant. Okay, guys, it's been a minute. It's been like 2 days. And that's why this video is coming out later than usual. Because shocker, I'm in Europe right now, and I was like, for sure I'm going to have enough time to do the podcast, and then the very first episode since being here is already very much delayed. So I apologize for that. Anyway, I'm back, and we're talking about Nevada. So, Nevada, the band name, The Crystal Method, is hilarious. I know I said that already 2 days ago. So right off the bat, I thought that this song was definitely a standout type of song. I thought that the energy and the pacing was all really good. I like that they actually slowed down a bit for the pre-chorus before they went right into the chorus. One thing, and I said that the staging really fits the song as well. So I definitely appreciate when there's enough attention put towards the actual staging of the song. What I was curious about was the singer was not the guy that they interviewed. So actually, let me pull this up on Spotify. Wait, what? I'm looking at week 4 on Spotify, which first of all, I have some stuff to talk about here. Holy crap, in terms of songs that have the most plays. But I am not finding this song listed. What the heck? The Crystal... Okay, weird. The Crystal Method, their song is not available on Spotify. So that's suspicious because how are people going to listen to it? All right, well, anyway... I just wanted to see who was the featured artist that they had, and I can't find it. Well, anyway, so it was a featured artist, which I guess what I'm wondering is the song, I'm assuming, was actually written by the main guy that was interviewed. And then he just outsourced the vocals to this other person. I wrote down, was it Coda? Was that the name of the guy singing? I thought they had two featured artists, though, when they were talking about it. But I think the singer might be Coda.
You can't take me out when you think you're ahead. I tear you down for the count.
But what I wanted to say was that he was incredible and definitely stole the show. Like the energy and just, the stage presence. And this was, a hard rock type of song, which you definitely need that kind of energy for to pull it off live. And he did an incredible job. So I do wish when they do these interviews that they would also talk to everybody that's really performing, because they've had a couple other acts like that where, like going back to, was it Illinois? I think they had the song Love for My City. I think I'm getting that right. But that was another one where they interviewed the main guy, which was UG Walken. But then they had like a featured rapper with him, and we didn't know anything about him. So I do wish they would explain why there's a featured artist or who it is. That's something that I've had multiple questions on for different acts. Same with the Macy Gray. Her act also had a rapper that we didn't hear about until he just showed up on stage and started the whole performance. So anyway, but this performance was great. I just wish I knew who this Coda guy was. So super pumped. I also said, dude, send this song on. Now, this was only the second performance, so I was already very hopeful for this one. And it did do well with the jury vote. Going on to number 3, we have Utah. Now, I'm proud of myself. I wrote down the pronunciation. Hopefully I still am going to get this right. Savannah Kai is what I wrote down for the pronunciation, even though her last name looks more like Keys or Kayes. But Snoop Dogg pronounced it Kai. So we're going to go with Savannah Kai. The song was called Sad Girl. Watching her interview, she does say that in the genre of country, they're missing some women, like women representation. And I'm just going to have to disagree with that. I have never once thought, man, country music is heavily dominated by male singers. I have never thought that there has been an imbalance of men and women in country music. So I don't know where she's coming from with that. But yeah, she also did great. I said she immediately is standing out and holding her own. Her vocals were great live. And I think I said this on day one, that like everyone did so well. And also the whole like quote unquote lip syncing issue. I didn't notice it in this episode. So I really do think they've made some changes. And not only am I just like happy about that, but then it just gives a chance to really be blown away by how good these guys are when they perform live. So she was great. And especially since the song had high notes, it's always tough to hit high notes live and confidently. And especially if there's like multiple high notes, like you got to be confident to kind of pull off a song like that.
Sometimes I wanna be the sad girl. You're crying in my beer at a bar, girl. Not saying I'm fine, but my heart is breaking. Sick of faking this.
Oh yeah, and then I wrote, of course, she's stunning. She's very, very pretty. I was gonna try and not mention it, but then like by the time the song was over, it's like, man, she's so pretty. Yeah, and of course in her interview, she's just adorable. So she's very likable, great singer, beautiful. Like, if anything, this could definitely be a huge boost in her career. Like, I don't know if this song would necessarily win this competition, but I think on her own, and if she gets thrown into the the music industry and like the country world, I think she could do really, really well.
Alright to cry. And be sad.
Oh, and then side note, in general, because this is where I just noticed it, you know, they'll show the audience shots, and what's missing is that we're not getting people waving flags. And I love that about Eurovision, you know, when you can really see all the different flags there. And that's how you really feel like, yeah, we're here. We're all here together representing our own places that we call home. So I really wish that people would be waving around their state flags. Now, to be honest, I don't think most people would recognize the majority of state flags. Like, there's a few that, of course, I think everyone would recognize. But, like, I have no idea what the, like, Wyoming state flag is, you know? So, but this would be a perfect chance to really have your state flag up. And anyway, I just wish they'd have that. And I don't see people waving anything, like, not even, like, banners, like, cheering people on. So we'll see if that can maybe show up for the semifinals. Because, like, at that point, we've heard all the acts. So it would make sense if some of them have, like, more, like, fans in the crowd. So, anyway, I'm sure they've probably just banned all sort of, like, banners and... Well, I say that, but then when they cut to, like, the actual, like, families of the performers sitting in their own little groups, they've got banners and flags. And I could understand if they don't maybe want too many flags on the main floor because then nobody could see behind them. But I still think it looks really cool when they do that. So we'll see if they change that or if people get that idea to bring flags. I don't know. Yeah, speaking of flags, the next performer number 4 is Washington, D.C., which I'm just now realizing, what does Washington, D.C. have a flag? Or is it just the U.S. flag? Washington, D.C. flag? Get out. There's a flag. You guys, I am learning so much. I'll put it on the screen, but if you're listening on Spotify, the Washington, D.C. flag is 2 red stripes, and then above that are 3 red stars. So it's just red and white. And yeah, I would have never, if I'd seen that out in the wild, I would have no idea what that flag was. Speaking of flags, and this is a super tangent, I've been obsessed with GeoGuessr recently. It is my new thing. I am addicted for sure. And so I've been learning a lot about flags recently. So anyway, that's probably why I was like, maybe that's why I want flags at the actual contests, because I like flags right now. Okay, that was a tangent, but we're moving on. Okay, we got Washington, D.C. Performer is called Nëither, but the E has an umlaut over it. You guys know how I feel about umlauts for no reason. It's just a stylistic choice, but it doesn't make sense when you pronounce it. So the song is called I Like It. The performer, I guess I don't know his real name, but he goes by Nëither. He said he is a Trinidadian American. Very cool. Also mentions that his music, like, he calls it go-go music. And it sounds like it's also described as fusion music. And I think that's because he has a Trinidadian background. And that was definitely apparent in the song, which I thought was really cool. I think, what did I say? Yeah, I said the dancers, as we know, have gone overboard in the last few weeks. This week, the dancers were used tastefully. You know, they weren't showing up unnecessarily. So this is the first time we actually had, like, dancers really show up on the stage.
Come on, but I like it when you lose control. I like it, I like it, I like it, I like it.
And then I said I can definitely hear the fusion element, or maybe the go-go element. I don't know. I'm probably using go-go incorrectly because I'm just picturing like go-go girls, and that's not right. So I'm hearing the fusion element. And then I also said it's definitely an interesting song and that it's catchy, but it was also tough to follow. Like, as a first-time listener, it was almost like you couldn't quite follow along with the melody. Now, this is me trying to remember how I reacted like 3 days ago. But I do remember thinking like, if I could listen to this song again and again, I think it would really grow on me. And if I could really like listen to the studio recording and understand the flow of the song, I think I would really like it. But from a first time viewer, I think it was too difficult to follow for it to like stand out as a winning song. So I don't think this one's going to move on. But that being said, I did like it. And I did like that it did feel interesting, you know. And the first song we had from, let me make sure I get it right, the first song from New Hampshire with Mari, that was, you know, your cut and dry, like this is a pop song, has all the elements exactly in the order it always is. And I'd much rather send on a song like this one where it is interesting and yeah, it just has a different style. And but I don't know, there is something about it that I don't think it's going to move on. I just think it was just too chaotic for a first impression type of song. So, but I said the dancing was good, and I definitely liked that there were international elements. So, kind of going back to that fusion music.
Come on, somehow we should take cover before we both explode.
Number 5 is Massachusetts. The song is by Jared Lee, and the song was called Shameless. So this song was great, and as we know from the jury vote, this one held the top spot all the way up until the end. So I'm going to guess this one will definitely move on, which I think it should. I thought this song stood out to me as well. So, okay. And then in the interview, he says, the people of Massachusetts are shameless in who they are. You guys, I'm going to complain about it every time. Like, really grasping at straws. I don't know if that's the right idiom in this case, where it's like, I get it. You're trying to be like, my song represents Massachusetts. But like, then he also goes on to say that the song Shameless is about being shameless in love. And so I'm like, okay, that's not really the same concept, is it? The people are shameless in who they are and also shameless in love. Like, whatever. I'm going to keep making fun of them for like really trying to put that connection together. But sure, this song apparently really represents Massachusetts. Obviously, when I first heard it, it's like, oh, it's Massachusetts, right? No. Okay. And then I said, okay, so the song starts out, and I said, if every song started with this staging, I would not complain. I love it. They've had other like similar type of staging, and certainly in like Eurovision as well. But whenever they've got those lights, just however those lights work, I don't know how they make it look like almost like laser type of lights. And it's just beautiful and mesmerizing, and I will love it every time. So really, yeah, I wouldn't complain if all 11 acts started just like that. I'm telling you, I would still enjoy it. Now, also in terms of the staging and the lights, very confused about this part. They said that, or like in the lyrics, he says there's fire under my feet, and they only showed water.
Women like there was fire under my feet. It was a crazy addiction.
It was weird. Obviously didn't fit. And I don't know why they did that. But I mean, I love when they do try to incorporate graphics into the song, but they picked the wrong graphics. So I don't know. Okay, but I said the staging was great. He has a great falsetto. Very difficult, I assume, for men to do falsetto singing, you know? And then I said the song is a great mix of catchy, but still was unique enough for it to stand out. You know, it was a really like memorable song, I think, from the whole night. And of course, he's got the great vocals to match. And I said, I think this will move on. Now, this was before the jury results were shown. So as I was typing, I'm like, I think this will move on. Sure enough, it took the top spot from the jury, but he was the 5th performer. But he held on to that spot all the way up until the last guy.
Diving through your ocean, I'm shameless in love. Swimming in
Okay, I gotta adjust for this one, you guys. The 6th song, Georgia. The performer was Stella Cole, and the song was called DIY. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. I love this song, and I have already listened to this song many times. Like, I don't even think I've listened to every song yet in the studio recording, and yet I've listened to this one like 4 or 5 times because it's so good. And, okay, where do I even start? She's obviously so cool, you know? And I'm a little sad because I think deep down in real life, I don't think she would want to be friends with me. Like, she's too cool. And she also, yeah, she kind of just has that badass attitude where, like, she doesn't really care about anything. And that's why I'm like, oh, man, I wish I could be more like that sometimes. So yeah, I'm a little sad because I think she and I would probably not be friends in real life, even though I think I would love to be her friend. So, and then of course, she's beautiful, she's cool, and then the song was amazing. So I do think this could be another type of like TikTok viral song.
But I think we all know that you're the one who's misbehaved. Say you can't live without me, oh my God.
So going to the actual performance, yeah, I described it as a badass girl bop, which it totally is, because I wrote that early on and it holds up the whole way through. And I said, yeah, I can see this doing really well with the female audience. I mean, she's talking about how, like, yeah, basically, like, I've been doing all this stuff for you and you don't care. So why don't you do it yourself? DIY.
Fix yourself. DIY. 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 Don't you get off my back and fix yourself.
Now, I will say, first time I listened to the studio recording, I did not realize how not appropriate the song was. And that's where I gotta call out the American Song Contest here. Like, I have no problem with uncensored music, but that did not fit into the rest of this show. Like, obviously the live performance was censored, and I didn't realize that. She was changing any of the bad words and whatever. But they're releasing these, like, episodes week by week on Spotify under the official American Song Contest Spotify account. And I'm imagining this should be kind of like a family show, right? Eurovision is also family friendly, and I don't think they allow swearing, but if they do, it's not in English, you know, maybe they have to censor it in a different language too. But basically, I'm listening to all these songs and it gets to her and she's dropping the F-bomb and doing all kinds of stuff where I'm like, whoa. Like, I just feel like they should have released, you know, the family-friendly version on Spotify and then a separate, you know, explicit version of the real song, maybe under her own Spotify account or something.
Don't you get off my back and fix yourself.
She is just a standout performer. Like, that, her song, to be able to pull off any sort of like attitude, like talking to the camera, her vocals, like, that is a very specific type of performer that can pull that off, and she 100% owns it. Like, so she is another example of, outside of this competition, I could absolutely see her just taking off with a career. Like, I want to follow her now. Like, what else is she putting out there for music? Anyway, okay. I said I want this to move on, and I think it's definitely going to move on because a moment ago I was looking at Spotify and looking at how many listens the songs have, which I love doing each week now, DIY already has over 100,000 plays on Spotify. The second place song is A Bit of Both, which is the one that did move on from the jury vote. Second place has 27,000 currently. So she already has over 3 times as many listens as the second spot from this week. And then after him, third place is 6,000. You guys. Actually, wow. I would not have guessed this. The third place song is Arizona, which we haven't gotten to yet, but that's the Spanish duet. Has the third place one so far. So that I was just very shocked because like all of these songs from the American Song Contest have been a bit slow in terms of like getting listens, and this one has very quickly jumped up. So that gives me confidence. I think this one will definitely move on, and I want it to. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I've talked way too much about this one. So number 7, we have Hawaii with Bronson Varde. Song is called For You. He says it's the song is upbeat, but he also wants people to sing along and feel good. And I mean, sure, I would say the song was all of those things. The staging was okay. I mean, I don't know if I like it or not. You know, I think in general it would be nice to have some more state representation within the actual performances. And then here he is, they rolled out an island for him to stand on. And right away I'm like, I don't know if I like it. Maybe because it's like too literal. It's like, oh, he's from Hawaii. We'll put him on an island. Like, you know, part of me thinks like, yeah, that's what Hawaii is known as. But it also could have been nice to maybe highlight the things we didn't know Hawaii was known for, you know? But it was fine. I was just glad that he eventually moved away from the island. I was worried he was going to be stuck on that island the entire performance, but eventually he did walk around.
Shouted, had a crossroad in my mind, but I gotta choose my heart this time because my soul is hungry for the light.
I did say the song was a bit too cliche, too generic. It has a lot of nice elements. It has that nice Hawaiian typical sound that I think most people would recognize. You know, there's a ukulele in the background. Normally I'm like, oh man, ukulele is in the song, but he's from Hawaii, so it's totally appropriate in this case. He has a great voice and really, really good energy and stage presence. And I was thinking about it. I feel like they didn't really talk too much about maybe his background as a performer. Like, it seems like most artists, if they've had some sort of big success in their area or if they've ever collaborated with a large audience, they'll say that in the interview. And for his interview, I believe they were mostly saying that like he's performed a lot in Hawaii. So I don't know if he has much of a following outside of Hawaii, but that made me really impressed with his performance because he held his own. Like, he definitely had the confidence to be on that stage in front of the U.S., you know. So I thought he did a really good job. Now, all that being said, I do think the song, it was a bit too generic for me, but of course it was nice in its own right. Like, I could, you know, throw that into any playlist at a cafe and it would be a really nice song, you know. So I don't think it'll move on, but he did a really great job.
For you tonight. I want to hear it. Sing a la la la, la 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 la, sing a la la la, la 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 la, sing a la.
Okay, number 8, we have Alexis Cunningham, the song Working on a Miracle. She described it as a combination of retro, rock, and a little bit of punk. In her interview, she also did get emotional. She started crying, but she was explaining that she was just so excited and happy for this opportunity, which, I love hearing stuff like that because that must be so exciting. I couldn't imagine, like, however much experience she's had before with performing, but then to be suddenly on this stage, that is very, very exciting. So very happy for her. Now, I'm assuming this has to be one of her biggest performances, because in the beginning she was definitely a little shaky with the vocals, but she kind of settled into it much better when the first chorus was showing up.
Wanted summer with you was like an endless 4th of July. We lit up the sky.
I thought it was really good, and I think she did really well with the jury vote. I really like, the song is very chilled and relaxed and almost a little bit of indie. I guess she did say, a combination of retro rock. I think that was a great description. And she just stood there and sang it while there was a dance duo happening nearby. I wasn't a huge fan of the dancing for this one. I think she would have done just fine if it had just been her and like the band behind her. Overall, I thought she did really well. It did well with the jury, I believe. But for me, this is more middle of the pack for my own lineup of songs. But it was just such a strong week. I gotta really emphasize, like, this is probably my favorite week so far, in terms of both like the actual performances and the songs. Like, there was a good batch this week. So, but for me, this was middle of the pack. Number 9 is Arizona with Las Marias. The Marias. Are they actually both named Maria? Because that would be terrible. They're twin sisters. I hope they're not actually both named Maria. Their song, oh boy, De la Finikera. De la Finikera? Ooh, I don't know if I'm emphasizing that right. But very interesting backstory. So it sounds like, I think they moved to Arizona when they were 8 years old. I think that's what they said. But they moved from Mexico, and then their parents got deported, which is just awful. I can't believe they do that. When they were able to stay in Arizona, but their parents got deported, and I just think that's awful. Why would you split families like that? But they also said that they even said they've got the best of both worlds because they must live close enough to the border that I think they literally cross the border every day for school or something. That also just sounds exhausting. But it was really, like, I actually really, really liked this song, and I'm sounding surprised by that. Not because I'm surprised. I'm surprised that, here, I'm pulling it up on YouTube. This song is not doing well on the NBC YouTube channel. Let me pull it up here. So for those of you who don't know, you can add at least on Chrome, you can add a Chrome extension so that you can see how many dislikes a video has. Because why the heck did YouTube get rid of the dislikes? I will always be upset about that. But thank goodness there is a Chrome extension that you can add. It's literally called, let me pull it up. It's literally called Return YouTube Dislike if you're searching for it. It's been amazing. I highly recommend it. So you can see how many dislikes a video has, but even better, you can see how many dislikes a video has before you even click on it. So, oh my gosh, saved me a lot of time so far. So this song though, for the most part, everything has like a majority, 95% likes, 99% likes. Okay, it's gone up a little bit. Now this song has 92% likes. But the day after that these performances came out, this song had like 60% likes or something. Like, people were not into it. And I have to believe it might be the American audience, because this was absolutely a totally different song from everything else, right? Like, this really had a traditional Mexican sound. You know, they sang in Spanish. We've had a couple other Spanish songs, but those had much more of the pop Latin feel to them. This one had way more of that traditional Spanish song style to it, and it was not doing well at all. But now that I think the European crowd is starting to watch these videos, I'm assuming, now the likes have gone up a lot. Yeah, and I think it's because it really felt like Eurovision, and this is what it should be about, celebrating different cultures, although it is weird when we're talking about the US. I mean, it's all one country, but it is nice that we can highlight even smaller subcultures within each state. And yeah, when Arizona is on the border of Mexico, and for the most part, all of those states that are on the border definitely have a lot more Mexican influence. So I thought that was actually really fun to include a song like this. And on top of that, I actually loved their performance. Like, you know, because they're twin sisters, they harmonized perfectly. And I don't know, they were like, I even described it as like, they had a kind of like a go hard vibe. Like they're singing this like traditional Mexican song, but they're still kind of like, yeah, like they were like really into it. And I was all about it. I thought they did really, really well. I did say I wish that they would have maybe had the lyrics or like some sort of translation maybe on the screen behind them. I know we've had a couple other like Spanish songs, but this one I think I would have really liked to have known what they were saying. But overall, I loved this song and the performance. Like, so admittedly, this is not going to be the song I will listen to on my, when I'm listening to music. But in terms of watching a live performance, like I would have loved to have seen this be highly ranked or move on. And I was completely shocked. This got like second to last, I think. I know I keep saying I don't remember the exact order, but I do remember thinking like, holy crap, this was ranked way too low. And I was like really sad about that. And I'm still not quite sure who these jury members are. Like, I understand that they're supposed to be one from each state and that they're supposedly industry experts, but it was like almost a little insulting to see this one ranked so low, because to me, I'm just wondering if it's like, is it because it was so different from other pop music that they just didn't like it? Because I actually thought they did really well. And it's supposed to be a song contest. So in terms of the song, I thought it was a really pretty song. And even though I don't know what they're saying, I still enjoyed listening to it. And yeah, I don't know. I think in terms of songwriting, this one should definitely have stood higher in the rankings above some of these other really cliche type of songs. I don't know. That's just me. Make sure to leave a comment and tell me what you guys think about this song specifically, because this one might be quote unquote controversial. Because I don't know why it would rank so low. I thought they did really well. Number 10 is Pennsylvania, Bree Steves. Song was called Plenty Love. I liked this one too. I mean, I'm going to keep saying it. This week was really, really good. Plenty Love, really chill R&B vibes. This was crazy for me. I had listened to some of the songs on Spotify before I got to see the live performances, because they had released the songs like earlier in the day. So I decided to start listening to it. And this one, as I was listening to it, I was like, I like this. And then out of nowhere, there was like a rapper that jumped in and like she was rapping to the song. And while I was listening to it, I was like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. Like, who is this person? Watched the live performance and it's her. So I was actually just blown away. I'm like, whoa, she was actually the rapper and the singer. And she did well at both. Like, I didn't even realize that yeah, that was the same person. So then I was totally on board. I think when I was listening to it, not knowing she was the rapper, it just felt so sudden. I mean, I guess it is a little sudden anyway, but when it's you doing the whole thing, it's like, okay, it makes more sense that you can switch so quickly, you know, from one to the other.
Plenty. My sister look at me like Superman. Like if I make it, then she knows she can. Got big dreams and living better than. I hope they got...
Now, one thing I critiqued a little bit was that I was hoping that it would build a little bit more. I really liked the overall feeling of the song, but I felt like there was never like the climax of it. It was just kind of like stayed around the same level and then tapered off and now we're done. So that was something I do wish. I mean, yeah, the rap in the middle, perhaps it could be a climax in a way, but it was just, that was one thing I thought it was missing, was I thought it could have really built up more or had a bigger moment at the end.
Plenty things, 'cause we need plenty love.
And I did say I could really tell this had like a Philadelphia sound to it, which is hard to explain because it's one of those things where I can tell that it has a Philly sound, and yet if you were to ask me what is a Philly sound, I'd be like, And maybe it is just that R&B type of feeling to it. But yeah, it was interesting. It was like some of these other states I couldn't necessarily tell like, oh, that for sure represents your state. But, you know, some of the country songs have actually represented, you know, a country type of state. But this one, I was surprised. Philadelphia, I really could tell that this was a Philly song, I guess. And let's see, I also mentioned that she has a great stage presence and she could hit the high note. You guys, this is just a solid round of performances. So that's going to make the wild card that much harder to choose. Only 2 wild cards. It's not enough. So we'll see what moves on. I think this one was towards the top. This one might have been like 3rd place overall, I think. 2nd or 3rd place from the jury. So definitely has a good chance of moving on. Last but not least, number 11 is Washington State. The performer is Alan Stone. Song, A Bit of Both. Oh my gosh. I don't even know. Whew, I'm like getting jitters just thinking about this song. So before the song even started, I already wrote, he's got a vibe about him. I mean, look at his haircut. And he does not care. He's got this crazy curly mullet and he just looks like he's straight from the 70s. He did say that he's played on every continent. I'm just going to have to go ahead and say that's probably not true. Well, you're going to Antarctica, playing for the penguins and the researchers there. But I know what he means. He probably means every continent except for Antarctica, but I'm still going to call him out on that. Apparently he was on Conan O'Brien 10 years ago, which then I always wonder, how old are you? Because he didn't look that old. And to do anything 10 years ago is like, what? That's crazy. Even though I'm reaching that age too, where I can say something was 10 years ago and it's like, that's crazy to me. Okay. And then I wrote literally the first second of this song and yep, I was already into it. I am obsessed with this song. So with DIY, I have listened to this song just as much, maybe a couple times more. I love this song, everything about it. Now, it's also the performance. This one gets a 10 out of 10 for the stage, like the staging, the lights, the sound quality. I don't know why he sounds so good live. Like, he honestly sounds better than the studio recording. So I was all about it. Yeah, I also said this was not the voice I was expecting from him, you know, watching his interview, and he's kind of got this quirky confidence about him. And then he kind of has like a little bit of that falsetto. And maybe it wasn't like technically falsetto, but it was a much higher voice than I was expecting, you know. The song had a groovy sound. Oh, I said I was mesmerized the whole time by everything. And the lyrics, maybe you guys have noticed, I don't tend to talk too much about lyrics, only because maybe I don't notice the lyrics as much the first time I'm hearing it. You know, I think I'm much more paying attention to the actual like musicality of the song, which one could argue maybe the lyrics should be included in that. But I'm paying more attention to like the actual melodies and the instrumentals and the staging, you know, what can I actually see as it's happening. And I do think when you consider lyrics, maybe that's why I also enjoy Eurovision so much, is you don't need to know what people are singing in their own languages, but you can still love the song and you can still feel connected to it. Yeah, that's something that I just think is absolutely wonderful about Eurovision, is you don't need to know what they're saying, and yet we can all enjoy it. Isn't that awesome? So yeah, so that's why I don't typically pay attention to lyrics when I'm listening to these songs. But for this song, some of the lyrics definitely stood out to me. Specifically when he says the line like, but until you're horizontal, life isn't always a straight line, something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And it did take me a while to figure out what he meant by when you're horizontal. And then I realized he means when you're dead, which was very clever. Once I finally put that together, I was like, oh, that's so smart.
How come Chinese top rope and reason don't rhyme until you're horizontal? Life ain't a straight line. Well, maybe.
So yes, the song was amazing. The lyrics were amazing. 10 out of 10. I also wrote that this song is too short and I just wanted more. It was so good. So this was definitely, oh man. I mean, this song along with DIY were definitely my two favorites. And I'm really glad that this was the jury vote, even though, which state was that? Shameless. He was holding on. Massachusetts. Held on until the very end. So now we know Washington's moving on to the semifinals. And then I said my top. Okay. As I've already mentioned, I think Georgia, was that DIY? Okay. Georgia, Washington, Massachusetts, and Nevada was my fourth pick, which now I don't remember which one was Nevada. Nevada, the Crystal Method, was my other choice. Okay, well, that was episode 4, and probably my favorite episode so far, which makes me really excited for the upcoming weeks. You know, it looks like they really are putting in the effort to make improvements, and I just hope that more people get on board. I'm really hoping once the semifinals start that we're really going to start seeing some, I don't know, just maybe more people will start to pay attention to it because, yeah, once all 56 songs have had their chance, now we're really getting down to like, all right, top songs, whose performances are the best and whose favorites and whatever. So I guess I'm just really excited with how this week went, and I'm hoping that it's going to continue to get better and better. We only have 1 week left of regular performances. But what I'm just now thinking about is, you know, they've announced the 3 semifinalists from the audience vote. They've been announcing that on the following week. But how are they going to do that? If the semifinals start after week 5, how do we know who's going to move on? I don't know. The voting thing is still very confusing to me. So we'll have to figure out how they're going to announce those before the semifinals start. So, okay, I guess that is it. And I'm sorry that this video was late. The next video might also be sometime during the weekend because, yeah, it's been a little bit tough. I mean, even just watching it from Europe, there's the time difference, and then also like you have to wait for everything to be uploaded and this and that. And then also I'm trying to do some touristy things in the meantime. So anyway, thanks you guys for listening and for watching. And I really appreciate if you guys can like, comment, and subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week. Hej då!